Now let's go across to our guest that we have on the show. We have Peter McGuire, CEO of XM Australia, who joins us on the phone line. Hi, Peter. Good morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Well, how are you reading this piece of news? We have Donald Trump saying that they're going to be ramping up production. The hope is that normalcy will return. But your view on crude oil prices from here?
Well, good morning. Thanks for inviting me on the show. I think Manisha's articulated it very, very concisely. But I think the wild card is certainly what moves forward from here. It's an uncertainty. That's what creates tension in a market, and that's what causes the volatility. Now, if we get further strikes over the next matter of days, there's that side of the equation. Then you've got President Trump coming on and saying, right, if we can prove it's Iran, we're locked and loaded. They were his words. And in turn, what's your interpretation of what that means to, I think, geopolitically and, of course, the undercurrents as far as price. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting day ahead, and the largest gains in history shows us the severity of the market.
Peter, I also have a question, and this really is about the crude oil prices and the kind of imports that Asia does. So what is an immediate impact that you see of this? I mean, the reserves will travel as they do, but as of now, immediately, what is the kind of demand-supply gap that you see forming, especially for Asian countries?
Well, we've got to first off consider, are we going to be back online in 5 days? I find that a little bit incredulous, to say the least. I mean, it's a major strike. You've taken out nearly 6 million barrels of production. I know that we've got reserves, we've got large inventories, and we're awash with oil. But this really puts a different game play in fact. You've also got, as far as keeping those production lines going and keeping that supply hitting the Asian, where they've got a large appetite for crude and all the other components of it, the downstream products, and you're looking at diesel and so on. So it creates angst to any consumer. It causes great degree of pain from the hip pocket for the average consumer, and of course for government security as far as maintaining that supply side. So it's so difficult. You've got so many moving parts, and that just dictates one thing, and that is price spikes, and that's what we've seen. So I think it's going to be a few more dollars up from here.
Okay, a few more dollars up from here, Peter, but what's your sense for the long-term outlook on crude prices? Do you think because of an incident like this, you would like to change your targets for the year end for crude? And secondly, do you think this will have larger political ramifications given now Iran and US is getting involved?
I'll answer number two first, and then I'll go to number one. The number two side of it is the uncertainty and the unknown. You're hearing what Mike Pompeo is saying. We're understanding as far as the greater picture from President Trump's, and of course looking at the Saudi IPO, the largest in the world's history, being touted for next year, being possible, launch date somewhere in Tokyo sometime in 2020. What does this do to the IPO? What does it do to Saudi Aramco? And in turn, that creates a different fabric as far as world security. And I'm sure that the US's ally, they're not going to sit on their hands and just wait for another strike. It's going to be onward and upward from here, and I think it really puts a different deal tension in the whole geopolitical matter. If you go to price, we've seen the largest price spike in history over the last matter of hours. That dictates and shows the fragility of the market. And the market is a living, breathing, dynamic organ. It doesn't stop. And the consumption of it, there's no market in the world like crude oil. The only other commodity probably with more value is water. And that really gives us a true indication of the power that this market has. And it really puts everyone on the back foot. So I really think that at the present, you're going to see a different world dynamic. And price spike, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few more dollars up from here.
Okay. While, Peter, of course, you keep saying that a few more dollars up from here, but as Anisha asked, are you changing the outlook for the crude oil prices now? Because most people believe that we would now be stuck in range. But with this vulnerability now exposed in the market on how, weak the situation stands, are we back again looking at 75, 80 kind of levels? Or do you think the major part of the run because of this news is now done?
Manisha, I reckon you've probably got the capacity to hit that sort of headline number if you get other strikes. The unknown is how severe can this turn? And if it turns to, if it ratchets up a few more, another incident or two, that's going to have a great impact to dollar price. And I wouldn't be surprised to take a 75 handle out, an $80 handle. That's got the capacity to do that. There's while we've got a wash with oil, we've also got the uncertainty as far as where OPEC plays in Russia. So there are so many moving parts to this and political alliances across that whole fabric as far as the Middle East. So, why can't you hit those sort of numbers? It's, very achievable.